Hello there, this is Sean, and welcome to a quick tutorial on how to put together and edit your 5x5 project. To start with, I've gone ahead and connected a external hard drive, and I have also connected the memory card to my computer that has the original video files on it. So the first thing I want to do is essentially start a new folder for my project. Now you can create a folder on your hard drive or on your desktop or anywhere else you want to store it. For convenience purposes and for this class in particular, using an external hard drive is a good idea because you can move it between your home computer and the machines in the computer lab as well. So here I've gone ahead, here on my external drive, I'm just going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it 5x5 project. And then inside that folder, I'm just going to go ahead and make a new folder. And I'm just going to call it raw video so that I know that this is going to be the place where I'm going to put all of the original video files. So to do that, I'm just going to open up the memory card, find all of my video files here. I'm just going to select them all and drag them over into my raw video file. Okay, once I have all of my video files copied over, I'm going to go ahead and launch Adobe Premiere Pro CS6. Now here what we're going to want to do is we're going to create a new project, and we want to make sure that when we create a new project that we set this project to be saved in the project folder that we created on our external hard drive. By default, it'll put it on the local computer where the application is installed. So if you're working on your home machine and you want to keep everything there, that's okay. But for our case, we want to make sure it stays on our external hard drive. So what I'm going to do, if I went too quickly there, right above here on the location, I want to select Browse. Go to our external hard drive here, select our 5x5 project, and just go ahead and select Choose. That'll put it there. Then I'm just going to give this thing a name. So I'm going to call this again 5x5 project. Click OK. And then by default, we're prompted with a new sequence dialog. And this is where we can set the standard settings for our first sequence or otherwise timeline. But this requires you to actually know all the exact settings that you used with your camera. So I'm going to show you a shortcut. So instead of having to fill this out and take the chance to get it wrong, just go ahead and click cancel. We can always create a new timeline once we're inside the application in a much faster, more of a shortcut sort of way. So we'll go ahead and click cancel. Now once we load up here in Premiere, we have our workspace here, but we have nothing in there. So the first thing that we're going to do is import our videos that we captured. So to do that, I'm going to go up to File and select Import, or press Command I. Here we can see here's the raw video file that we folder that we created, put all the original files in. Now you can go through here, and if you wanted, you could select each one individually, but I'm just going to go ahead and select that entire folder and select Import. Now you can see that after I selected import, we have this little folder down here entitled raw video, because that's the folder we imported. Down here, and we can double click on this to give us a new pop-up window. Inside each window here, you can see all of the thumbnails of each one of the little videos. Now you might notice as you play around with these that as you just kind of hover your mouse over an individual thumbnail, you can actually sort of scrub through the thumbnail, or you can click on it and actually get the little timeline scrubber here that you can go through and play back and forth that has actual audio as well with it. Now this is very handy to get a quick glimpse at what clips that you're going to use, but it's very small. It's not easy to see. So one thing that you can do is just double click a clip that you want to see. In this case, I'm actually want to look at this one of the first clips, and here it'll load up in the project pane. So I can simply put this at the beginning of the playhead, press play, and it'll play that entire clip back for me. Now, this clip, you can see the total length of this clip is 9 seconds, so I'm only able to use 5 seconds during the project 5x5. So one thing that I want to do is basically find a location where I can start. So I'm going to go with something right about here, about 1 minute and 12 seconds, and I'm going to press this button here, which is called Mark In, and that just basically marks an in point for this particular video clip. Now I'm going to go ahead and press spacebar, so I know I can only go 5 seconds, so we're looking for basically 6 seconds, 12 seconds to be exactly 5 minutes, or 5 seconds. Okay, so somewhere right there, I'm going to go ahead and select an out point. So now I have 5 seconds of video and audio. Now, we don't have a timeline yet because we canceled that. So one thing we can do really quickly and easily is just click and drag right here in the video. And I'm going to click and drag this down all the way down here and to the new item sequence here. And you can see as soon as my mouse goes over it, it turns, I get this little plus on the lower right hand side of that icon. When I let go, it's going to automatically create a new timeline or new sequence based on all of the video settings that were contained in this clip. Now, of course, it's been given the title of whatever that video clip was, and since that doesn't really make sense to us, I'm just going to go ahead and rename this and call it Iced Coffee. And now we have a timeline that has iced coffee. So now if I navigate over here to the timeline, I'm going to use this little slider on the bottom here to just adjust the zoom of the timeline. We can see that we have a video that is just exactly 5 seconds in length. Now at any time if I want to play this back, I can just move my playhead here at the top by just dragging this around, put it at the beginning, and press the space bar to play it back. And so you'll notice here in the workspace that we have two videos. The video on the left-hand side, this is the sort of the preview of the clip video, and the one on the right-hand side, which is our timeline viewer. So you can think of this as the left-hand side are the individual clips that you're working with. The right-hand side plays back your timeline in sequential order down below. So now that I've got the first clip in there, basically I just need to go ahead and repeat this process with all the different 5 stages. So here is the next clip for my project. So I'm just going to double click on that, load it up. Again, we need 5 seconds of this. I've actually gone ahead and cheated a little bit to kind of identify a good area to start with. So we'll just go ahead and pick this spot for now. So we're at 30:21, so basically at 35:21 will be exactly 5 seconds. Go ahead and grab that. Same thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click in this pane here and drag this down and add this to the end of my next timeline. And you'll notice that it'll kind of automatically just jump and connect itself automatically, which can help save time. So now I'm just going to check this to make sure everything is okay. So this should be end at exactly 10 seconds. And you can see that we have just a little bit extra time here. So if I zoom all the way in, you can see that this actually is 10 seconds to basically 10.02 seconds. So to remove this little bit at the end here, you'll notice that when my mouse cursor touches the very edge of this clip, it turns to a red arrow. If I click and drag this in, it'll snap to that playhead that is exactly at 10 seconds and instantly remove that video. Now you could go through there and you could use the razor blade tool and you could cut it. It's up to you. There's lots of different ways that you can shorten the clip, but that's just probably the quickest and the easiest for a project like this one, the 5x5. Now whenever I'm zoomed into this too much, you want to grab this playhead and you can stretch and squeeze this bottom slider here to adjust the zoom of the actual timeline itself. So again, just going to go up, grab the third clip now. Same process. I need to grab 5 seconds of it. And get this right. Bear with me here. Start somewhere right there. So 3:14. So at 8:14, that'll be 5 seconds. Doesn't that coffee look good? Okay, 8:14. Set the out point. And again, just same thing. I'm going to drag and drop this and snap it right onto the end of my timeline here. So now this should be at exactly 15 seconds. And you can see the time code right here is telling me it's at when we reached it. There's exactly 15. So again, I'm just going to zoom in, and again, you can see I've got just a little bit of an edge peeking over there. It's 15.01. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the end of this clip and just snap it to the playhead there to get rid of that extra little bit, and then go back to our raw video file. Grab the next piece, which was this one. Load it up. Same kind of deal. I want to grab this particular one just as the milk is about to hit the coffee Move it forward a little frame, so maybe like right there. So 303. So we're going to go ahead and move this to 803 to get exactly 5 seconds. Grab that, bring it to the end here. Go ahead and zoom out a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Move the playhead towards the end. So we should be at exactly 20 seconds. We'll move this playhead till we get to exactly 20. Zoom in, make sure we don't have any extra video hanging off there, and again we do. So same thing, I'm going to move my cursor here till it turns red, grab it, slide it in, get rid of it, and then go back, look for our final piece here, which is this one. Go ahead and I'm actually going to do this one slightly in reverse order. So what I'm going to look for here is after I place the cup down, we're going to give it basically like a 1 count or so. And I'm going to actually go work backwards from this. So it's 10:12, so I need to go back and find 5:12. And that'll be where the video will start. So about right there. Select that. Go ahead and grab this, move it down, same thing, snap it in. Now take my playhead, navigate all the way over to 25 seconds exactly. Zoom in. Make sure you don't have any extra. There again, you can see it's a little bit extra. Snap that off. And there we have it. So now I've put all 5 of my clips into the timeline here, and they're exactly 25 seconds long. So what I would recommend at this point, of course, now is going back in and watch the whole thing. So here I'll put the playhead all the way to the left and press the space bar. Okay, and if you notice any kind of jerky playback and stuff like that, that's okay. Again, you can see here this yellow line underneath here. It means that all of these videos here are just playing back in RAM due to that Mercury playback engine. None of this has been rendered to play fully at 30 frames a second. So depending on your machine and how much RAM you have, that can affect the smoothness of your final video playback. So this looks good to me. One thing you want to check is sometimes it can be helpful to expand your audio. So now in the Project 5x5, you cannot add additional audio, but that does not mean you can't go in and adjust the original audio that's there. You'll notice here on the right-hand side, you have a decibel meter. So if I just go ahead and play this again, watch as the audio is picked up. You can see how the audio spikes move. And you're having some... What you want to be careful of is if you have a lot of audio that's hitting these red buttons up here, as that means it's clipping, and that can be a very distracting thing. Loud bangs or clicks is very common to be up here, and that's okay, but you don't want the whole audio sequence to be up in that red area. So if you do, you can go down here and you can see that when you have this yellow line that runs through your audio clip, you can always grab that yellow line and move it down to quiet the audio, or vice versa, you can grab that yellow line and raise it up to actually increase the volume. But assuming you're satisfied with the way everything is, our next step, of course, is, well, one, we should probably save our project so we don't lose any of the work we've done. So I'm just going to go ahead and File, Save. It's always important to remember to save your project before you render, just in case there's any software glitches or anything like that that can happen on your computer while you're rendering. If you happen to have a mistake in the computer, the program, or the project you're working on shuts unexpectedly during the middle of something like a video render, you probably lose all of the hard work that you've done. So in order to make sure that that doesn't happen to you, make sure you save and save frequently. Certainly save your project before you try to render, just in case. Rendering is the most computer processor and RAM intensive aspect of the whole process. So it's also a good idea to make sure that you have all the other applications that you may be running on your computer turned off, or quit out of them to free up all of the machine resources that you have. So assuming we're happy with this, I'm going to go ahead now and render it. So I'm going to go up to File and select Export Media. In our export settings dialog, one thing we want to do is we want to check down here. We can see that the entire work area is being rendered. We can see here we have a total duration of the output file of 25 seconds exactly. That's good. If this is at all off, you want to make sure that you revisit. Click cancel, go back to your timeline, make sure you don't have any extra time in there. Under the source range, you want to make sure that your work area is selected here. If you select, for example, entire sequence, or something like that, you may have a case where you only have 25 seconds of video, but you may have extraneous 3 seconds to several minutes of actual blank video, depending on how you are moving the clips around on your timeline. So just make sure that all this matches. You should see 25 seconds here to match your 5x5. And then we're going to go up here under our match sequence settings. Now, there's lots of options. If you just click this down drop box here, you can see that Premiere Pro allows you to export in many different codecs. The one that we're going to use, which is one of the nicer high definition codecs to use, is H.264. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then under our preset here, you'll notice if I select this down box that there is a lot of choices. So you can feel free to play around with different things, to try different aspects to try to get the largest quality. What I would recommend for this case, if you shot with a camera that was at 1080p or 720p, that you try to match those settings with the presets as best you can. For me, for example, I shot with a camera that was shooting at 1080p at 30 frames a second. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the Vimeo sort of preset here. That's HD quality 1080p by 30 frames a second, which it's really 29.97, but we just call it 30 to make it easier on ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. And under comments here, I can give it some extra, a little bit of information, etc. On our output name, you'll see it kind of appears like a link. If I click on this, it'll just basically give me an opportunity to choose where I'm going to save it. By default, it's set to save to my desktop, and so that's okay. But I'm going to give this a slightly more intuitive name. So Iced Coffee 5x5 project. Okay, and select save. Now under here, I don't need to change anything. We just want to make sure these are checked. So we're going to export video. Obviously, we want that. We want to make sure that it's checked that we're going to export audio, because otherwise we'd have a silent movie. Under here, again, you can go through these different tabs if you're interested to kind of see all the different settings that have been chosen for you based on the format and preset. But basically, video, we can see that this is going to come out at 1920 by 1080, which is 1080p, 29.97 or 30 frames a second. We have a progressive scan. That's the P in 1080p rather than I, which is interlaced. We want to make sure we use progressive because we don't want any shutter or jelly effects in the video, which interlaced video can do. This is set for TV standard for NTSC. It really doesn't matter if you use PAL or NTSC when we're exporting stuff for web. But if we were going to be playing on television, it's good to note that NTSC is the US standard for television, which is 30 frames a second, and PAL is the predominantly the European standard for television, and it's 25 frames a second. So all this looks good. It's going to tell me down here, estimated file size is about 15 megabytes, which is not very big, but again, it's only 25 seconds. If all this stuff looks good, I'm just going to go ahead and press export, and then once I do this, you'll see that you'll get a little timer up here that will calculate basically the estimated time that it's going to take. Here to tell me it's about 5 minutes or so. Again, the power and RAM and resources of your computer will dictate how long it's going to take you to encode that video. So the bigger, more powerful computer you have, the less time it will take. Again, if you don't have a brand new state-of-the-art computer that you're using this on, it is very helpful to close down any other applications that you might have running, because they can take up some of those system resources and cause your render time to run a little bit slower. Okay, and once the video has finished rendering, we can go ahead and again, if you've made any changes, go ahead and save. Otherwise, we can go ahead and close the project. And we can exit Premiere Pro. And now we can see that we have, here's our video file. And of course, we want to go ahead and open it and play it back just to make sure everything looks and sounds exactly the way we expect it to. So you can see we have exactly 25 seconds per the rules of the 5x5. And there we are. So hopefully that short little video tutorial was helpful, kind of watching me go through the process. So now hopefully that'll help you on your own individual projects. I look forward to having a chance to see them. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.